Hello and welcome, or welcome back, depending on if you've been here before or not. But if you haven't, just to catch you up a bit, last year I released my first book of poetry, maybe someday, and so I'm going through each poem within this book, and sharing it, um, like reading it and then going through afterwards and kind of explaining some of its meaning to me and what specific lines we're trying to say, and just a bit of my story with each of these poems within this book. Um, so the next poem we'll be doing is the second main poem from the book. I know in the first one we started off with my arranging the pieces poem that I put at the beginning and then the preface. But this next one is the second main poem of the book after Arrange that we did last time. And this next one is called Live Less. And just a little heads up warning or whatever about it. As I've said before about this book and most of the poems in it, it was all written during like the darkest couple of years of my life, and so um, a lot of the stuff in here is quite like depressing, I guess. But it's me trying to work through my struggles and everything, and using this writing to help myself try to heal and get to a better place. Kind of as I shared in Arrange last time, when will I be able to arrange all this hopeful brokenness and live a better life? So that's essentially what I'm trying to do with my writing and what I've done over time as I've written. And so this book kind of shows that journey. And so this poem it wasn't the second thing I ever wrote, but it was one of the first things I ever wrote. There are a couple other things that didn't make it into the book that I wrote between Arrange and this, but this was one of the first things I wrote just shortly after surviving that suicide attempt that I talked about previously. And so this is Live Less. Everything I do just makes me hate myself more. Every moment I live just makes me want to live less. Everyone I meet makes me question what I'm living for. Everything I do seems to fail, though I always try my best. And I keep on trying, and I'm always so obsessed with all the ways I want to live, but still I want to live less. Every way that I look at it, my life is broken in design. Everywhere I go leads down a path of no success. Everyone seems to think that I'm doing just fine, and I won't tell them I'm not to keep that weight off their chests. And I keep on crying because it's my only defense against all of these thoughts that make me want to live less. You gave me the tool, but I couldn't use it. Everything I do further proves that I'm useless. You say I'm wrong. Well, why don't you prove it? I tried to make things better, but I know that I blew it. And I could try again, but you know that won't do it, because my doubts and depression have all grown so ruthless. I have tried to find the answers, but I'm still so clueless, and without the sun, my night sky is moonless. Every cell in my body is so full of doubt. Every night I think back, it just makes me depressed. Every time I get lost, I just look for ways out. I don't want to die, but still I want to live less. I'm sure that to you this doesn't make any sense, It's like life is my enemy, but the only friend I possess. I know that the answers are out there to find. Maybe someday I'll make a home of this mess. For year after year, I've been at war with my mind, and I've thought of just laying my weapons to rest. But I want every moment I live to make me want to live more, and everything I do to make me hate myself less. How can I learn to not want to live less? So that was Live Less. Um, and yeah, as I said, very much a sadder kind of poem, but personally, I really like it. I think it's one of my favorites of my like really early ones. Um, and so I guess now I'll go through and uh, break it down a bit. I think a lot of it is quite self-explanatory within this one, but um, kind of explain some of the key points, I guess, or at least some of my favorite parts, or ones that have specific meaning to me. Um, so I guess, just in general, the idea of this poem came from um, me just kind of thinking about, myself and my life, just kind of struggling with self hate a lot. And it was like, kind of as I say in that first line, which kind of sparked the idea of it, everything I do just makes me hate myself more. It was like, essentially that. Every time I tried to do anything, anytime I tried to um, make any sort of difference or put myself out there in some way, or um, say something to anyone, or whatever it was, just anytime I really tried to do anything, I ended up just feeling worse about myself, like um, feeling like I was constantly failing, and or like embarrassing myself, or making myself look stupid or like a bad person to others, and all these different things. And just, it was like, as I'm trying to actively do things that'll hopefully make me hate myself less, I'm just um, like failing and making myself hate myself more. And it just became this cycle of, no matter what I do, it always comes back to hurt me in some way. Um, and so that just made me feel really hopeless. Like, I can't do anything, because if I try to do anything, it's gonna make things worse for me. So, um, just felt like I couldn't do anything or be anyone, and felt so constricted within myself. Because if I tried to branch out in any way, it would come back to hurt me. And I was just so overwhelmed with all these constant regrets of everything I did. And thinking back, I'm sure that a lot of that was just very much in my head, being obsessive about my struggles and self hate and all this stuff, and kind of creating this like miserable fantasy within myself of who I was, and the world I was in, essentially. Um, but yeah, it just really affected me a lot, and was kind of what sparked the idea for writing this. Um, and so then the like every moment, everyone I meet, all this stuff, again, just kind of reflecting in more detail that same sort of idea I was just explaining. Um, and I just noticed that, like, in that fifth line, I say, I keep on trying and I'm always so obsessed with all the ways I want to live, but I want to live less. And I think that kind of was what I was just saying a moment ago about kind of getting obsessive with this stuff, but I guess as I'm trying to say here, it's being obsessive about that stuff from a perspective of trying to overcome it, wanting to um, reach these goals of mine and get to this better place, but actively trying to pursue that is making me want to live less. And I mean, I guess it kind of became a bit of a paradox within my mind of wanting to um, actively make a difference in my life to get to a better place, because I can't get to that better place without doing that. But as I'm trying to do that, to reach that, doing that is then pulling me back further away from it. And yeah, because of that, it just overwhelmed and kind of consumed me in a way. Um, and so then that kind of leads to the second stanza here, where I say every way that I look at it, my life is broken in design. Everywhere I, oh, excuse me, everywhere I go leads down a path of no success. Um, like just feeling, as I mean, I feel like already we just started going through this book, but again, just feeling so hopeless um, that no matter what I try to do, it's not going to work out for me. Um, but as now, from years past writing this, I can confirm that while maybe we haven't gotten to a place of full success and full happiness and greatness or anything yet, or quite to the place I want to be, I wouldn't say that I'm on a path of no success at all, or that my life is completely broken, because I mean, I've been able to find a lot of happiness and achieve a lot of things that I consider to be great successes. Um, and as I've said before, I very much have this poetry to thank for that. Writing is really what's helped me over the past few years to work on myself and get to the place I'm in now, where, as I ask in the end, how can I learn to not want to live less? And now I'm in that place where, I mean, yes, I do still struggle with several of those things and have days and times where I kind of do want to live less. But in general, I'm very happy to be alive and be me. So, I mean, you can just kind of see how, how far I've come from when I wrote this, like, over 4 years ago. So I guess continuing on, everyone seems to think that I'm doing just fine, and I won't tell them I'm not, to keep that weight off their chests. Just feeling like I don't want to be a burden to anyone else. I don't want to have to share this pain I'm enduring, so I'll just try to mask it and pretend like I'm doing fine. In order to, keep that weight off their chests. I will carry this burden alone. Even though I know there are people around who would help me carry this weight and help me get through this if they knew. But I just always wanted to keep it from my family or anyone else close to me, so they, I guess, wouldn't see what was truly going on with me, and so I wouldn't hurt anyone else like I hurt myself. And so, since I had no one to defend me, as I say in the next part, and I keep on crying because it's my only defense against all these thoughts that make me want to live less. Kind of saying that the only thing that kind of helps me cope with this sadness and pain and anger and everything that I was struggling with was feeling that. It was like I numbed the pain with pain, I guess. Um, and so I would just, I mean, kind of like I'm saying there, cry, like try to cry away the pain, um, and use that darkness to hide within until it kind of became a comfort that could um, make me feel like I was safe from it, even though I was just, I guess, so far in it that I couldn't even tell. Kind of like, I mean, I guess like I have a storm, I guess. Like, um, just putting myself right in the middle of it where it feels like a comfort, even though I'm still far within the storm of my own mind. Um, and then, I mean, continuing on, I don't want to be repeating myself too much, but within that next sort of stanza, um, I mean, it kind of is, I mean, saying new things, but reflecting that same kind of idea that I've been explaining throughout most of it. But I think um, one of the key points here that's one of my favorite lines of it is um, the last one of and uh, without the sun my night sky is moonless. I have a poem a little bit later in this book that is even to this day still one of my favorite things I've ever written one of my favorite things that I've ever written, called Focus on the Moon. And um, this last line here kind of um, has a similar idea to the idea of that poem, Focus on the Moon, that I'm trying to express, where I'm saying that, like, I'm so in this, like, dark place I'm in mentally or whatever, kind of represented by this night sky. Um, without there being some sort of light on the other side, like the sun during the night, like how the sun is on the other side of the earth during the night when it's dark or whatever. Without there being something, some sort of hope on the other side for me, like, I mean, figuratively speaking, in my life, without there being some sort of goal or hope for me, um, then during this like night, there's no sunlight going up to the moon to like reflect some sort of light back to me through this darkness. Um, Not sure if I explained that well in a way that really makes sense, but I hope you get the idea that I'm trying to say with that. And I mean, just kind of saying that it's like very difficult or like impossible to see in the dark, like figuratively speaking, in your mind, like to be able to see hope for yourself in the future and to get through this. Um, if there's not some sort of, I mean, light on the other side to reflect something back to you during that night, kind of like the sun does to the moon, um, giving some sort of light so you can see through the night. Um, and so, yeah, that Focus on the Moon poem later will kind of go more in depth into that idea. And I'm excited to share that one because it's one of my favorites. So then I go, I mean, in the next stanza, kind of go back into the like every whatever, reflecting again some of those same ideas in further details. Um, being full of doubt, thinking back at night on regrets. And then that third line of every time I get lost, I just look for ways out. That one was kind of alluding back to a range where I started off saying lost and kind of showing how lost I was feeling, and of course that one was written um, as I said before that I wrote that as I pulled myself out of um, trying to kill myself. Um, and so that line saying that when I would get lost, like I did then, I'd just look for ways out. Like, um, I'm just trying to find an escape from this life whenever I get lost. Like, happened then. But then after that, I say, I don't want to die, but still I want to live less. Kind of showing that while, yes, I am hopeless in a lot of ways and struggling in all these ways, and it got bad enough to a point where I um, almost killed myself. It's not because I genuinely want to die. I just, want to live less. Like I say there, it's hard for me to live and to want to live sometimes, but that doesn't mean I want to die. And so that was something I just kind of realized around that time, that just because I'm struggling with living doesn't mean I want to die. So that line kind of became important to me at the time, to remind me of that and keep me from ending my life again in the future. Or, trying to, or anything like that. And, as I say in that next line there, I'm sure that to you this doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know at the time there were people. I didn't really share how I was feeling a lot of times with other people, but when they kind of got glimpses of what I was struggling with, or I shared little bits like that with them, a lot of that stuff kind of confused people. And that idea of not wanting to, not really wanting to live, but not wanting to die, people kind of, I guess, having a hard time grasping that idea, the difference between that. But then one of maybe even my favorite line here in this poem, it's like my life is, it's like, sorry, it's like life is my enemy, but the only friend I possess. And so, just kind of showing again how, everything I do makes me hate myself more. It's like living this life is such a negative thing for me. It's like life is my enemy. It's a battle that I am fighting, and it's vastly negative, at least at the moment. But also, while it's my enemy, it's all I've got. I don't have anything else. It's like that enemy of mine is the closest friend I have. And so I want to keep it close. I want to stay alive. I want to keep fighting that enemy and find a true friend in it eventually. I guess now thinking about it a little bit more, I guess although I say it's my enemy, it's not because it is my enemy or something that I should be fighting. Maybe that's what I was seeing wrong at the time, where life is my friend. Life always was my friend. But I was so clouded by the darkness within myself that I was seeing it as an enemy. And where I chose to try to fight, maybe I shouldn't have. And I don't mean like shouldn't have fought to stay alive or whatever, because of course, I'm not saying, like I said before, where like looking for ways out and just giving up, but I mean fighting against life, because that's what I'm saying here. Life is my enemy, but the only friend I possess. So yeah, hmm. Well, I guess finishing this off, the last stanza there, we get the first mention of the book's title, maybe someday, maybe someday, and I mean just kind of to explain that a little bit. Um, I chose the title of this book because, I mean, as I said before, when I was writing all these, I had no intention of them becoming a book ever. I was just writing them for myself, just randomly, whenever, I mean, every day, but just whenever I felt like it, and just for myself. And then when I came back years later and decided I wanted to put them together and publish them, I was reading through them all and I noticed this constant pattern of a lot of these poems. Um, I mean, literally saying maybe someday so many times. Like, I feel like at some point I should just go through and count how many times this book says maybe someday. Um, or, um, and I mean, maybe also the times where it says things that are essentially synonymous, but even directly, maybe someday, that those exact two words is in here so much. And um, so that's kind of why I ended up calling it what I did, because I realized it was kind of a common thread throughout this. Um, and so here in Live Less, we get that first one of that where I say, maybe someday I'll make a home of this mess. So as it says in the line before that, I know that the answers are out there to find. Maybe someday I'll make a home of this mess. Kind of showing that, again, I do have some hope while I may not have much right now, and at the time that I'm writing this, and am like at my lowest. I know that there is that light out there. There is that sun out there somewhere to reflect some back to me in my night, and that maybe someday I'll be able to take what I have now, this essentially ruins and darkness and pain and whatever, um, take these broken pieces that I have now, um, and reshape and rearrange, kind of. I mean, referring back to arrange, um, rearranging all this hopeful brokenness, um, and live a better life and build it up into a home, something that can be of shelter to me and a comforting place. And I guess finally, kind of being a bit hopeful that one day I will get to that better place and be able to make something of this horrible time I'm living now. And I mean, just as I'm saying this, I'm realizing, I guess in a way, I kind of already have done that with this book right here. I've taken this mess that I was living then, written it into these many poems that I'm very happy with and proud of, and put them into a book that now I am like sharing with the world and sharing on here. So I guess, I mean, looking back on it now, that's kind of cool. Um, and so then I say, for year after year, I've been at war with my mind, and I've thought of just laying my weapons to rest. And I mean, I guess, as we were saying earlier, with that, life is my enemy, but the only friend I possess, kind of that thought I was having at the end. I guess life wasn't my enemy. It was like myself, my own mind. I've been at war with my mind. My mind is the enemy, not life. Um, and I say that I've thought of just laying my weapons to rest. I've thought of just giving up, letting my mind win, um, giving over into giving up on life. And as I keep on saying and explained before, suicide, like just giving up on life and going, taking that route. And with the pains of my own mind that I was dealing with at the time, it was very tempting, very commonly. Um, and I mean, looking back now, I'm just thankful I got through it, I guess. But yeah, then I finished with, but I want every moment I live to make me want to live more, and everything I do to make me hate myself less. How can I learn to not want to live less? I mean, again, just showing some hope that um, while um, as we started out with, everything I do makes me hate myself more, and every moment I live makes me want to live less. Um, Although that was the truth of how I was feeling at the time, I do genuinely want to um, get to a place where I am happy enough with myself and my life that it makes me um, no longer hate myself more every time I do something, and maybe even makes me love myself more. And that it just makes me want to keep on living and living more fully every day, um, showing that hope and that goal on the other side, kind of starting to become that um, sun in the nighttime to reflect some light back to me to make it through this dark night I'm living at the time. Um, but then ending with, how can I learn to not want to live less, showing that I'm not really there yet. I don't know how to get there. I am still exactly where was before, but I want to start moving. I want to get to that place. Um, and I guess that's the first most important step to achieving anything. Gotta, I guess, see that goal for yourself and recognize um, that it is possible, that you do truly want this, and um, that there is hope for you to reach that place and achieve it someday, maybe someday. Um, and so yeah, that's live less. Um, just looking at my recording time, and we're like 30 minutes in. So again, guess I am a certified yapper, as my brother always says. So I am sorry if this was a bit long, and but I guess if you made it here, thank you for watching through the whole thing and hearing my story. Um, if anything in here meant anything to you in any way, I mean, I'd love to know about that, and you're welcome to share any of your own story or what anything here means to you in the comments. Um, and yeah, just remember again that we're all broken and we're just arranging the pieces. Thank you.